Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to this brand new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You're here with us, your beautiful host, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, it is freezing on this Sunday morning. But do you know who's hot right now? The Detroit Red Wings, after scoring 6 unanswered goals against the St. Louis Blues last night. Buddy, how are we feeling after that dub?
The Detroit Red Wings are hot, or Todd McClellan's hot? Because that guy's on heart attack watch, and somebody needs to make sure he's eating clean and his blood pressure is under control, brother. That was wild.
When was the last time we even saw a game like that where the Detroit Red Wings had to come back and score 6 unanswered goals? There's definitely been games where we had to crawl our way back, but that's
a great question. When's the last time they came back and scored 6 unanswered to win a game? I can't remember. I have no clue.
And with that being said, drop it down in the comments and let us know. And let's just go ahead and kick off this episode, Carlo. And what do we got in store today? Well, we will be recapping the games against the Buffalo Sabres, the New York Islanders, and as well as the game that happened last night against the St. Louis Blues that we just touched on. And we want to stop and say thanks for joining us on this brand new episode. Once again, if you are returning, if you are brand new, thanks for stopping by. We truly do appreciate it. If you are watching or listening to us over on YouTube, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button that's right down below there. Hit that thumbs up button, and then also hit that notification bell that lets you know when these brand new episodes come out throughout the week, every Sunday. And then we try to put out weekday episodes. We also put out shorts. On top of that, if you guys are watching or listening on Spotify, yes, you can do both. Why don't you go ahead and hit that follow button, rate us 5 stars, and make way over to Apple Podcasts, and then hit that follow button and then rate us 5 stars as well. You can also find us on all the major social media platforms like the Twitter, the X's, the TikToks, the Instagrams, Facebook, Threads, all of that. And as well, while you're at it, if you guys haven't noticed, we have released some new merchandise. I'm actually wearing one of them right now, and I'll even stand up so that everyone knows. Look at this. Look at this.
Looks nasty.
I'm not a big guy either, Carlo. I'm about 5'9", 5'8.5", somewhere around there. I'm not going to round up as much as I want to be 5'10". Unfortunately,
I'm round up, dude. You're fine. Round up.
I'm also not the biggest guy, but I did go with the large. It fits me pretty nice. It will shrink, but go ahead and go over to the link in our bio. Hitting that link tree, it'll direct you over to that, where you can click on the link to j2sport.com. That's /Hockeytown Rundown as well, where you can go ahead and find all of this beautiful merchandise that we have. Go ahead and add that to the cart. Go ahead and check out, and that'll be to you within 1 to 3 business days if you live in the Metro Detroit area. Carlo, I kid you not, I ordered this, I think it was Friday or Thursday, and I think I sent you the photo and we posted it Friday or Saturday, so it came in really quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So if you guys are looking for some new merch, we got Todd Father apparel stuff, we got Hockeytown Rundown stuff, the original logo, this retro logo as well. And so, Carlo, with all that being said, I think now is a good time for us to jump into everything that happened this past week in the Detroit Red Wings world of hockey. And where do we begin? Unfortunately, we are going to begin with the unfortunate loss against the Buffalo Sabres, where it was 4-2. Go ahead and just kick us off with this one, buddy.
Well, I mean, listen, a loss was coming. I really didn't think it was going to come against Buffalo, although we always tend to slip up in Buffalo. I just thought they were playing so well and on this hot streak, this heater of connecting and, just as Todd would kind of put it, like being really, really tight in between the ears, right? But that wasn't the case. Super flat first period. They obviously took those 2 penalties and they just never rebounded from that. The momentum swing was so huge in Buffalo's favor after those 2 calls that they were just on their heels pretty much the whole game. I would say they had a better second half of the game for sure. Again, who knows what Todd's saying to these guys in the intermissions. We'll ask a little funny question on that as we roll along. But yeah, they really couldn't do anything, man. They really did not look good. They were out of sync, and it really snowballed from there. I mean, there's not really much good to talk about in this game. I struggle to find anything really good. They had
many good things.
2 power plays, couldn't do anything on them.
Yep.
Their PK, you know what? That's the good thing here in this game. Their PK, they took 5 penalties. They only gave up 1 goal. So their PK continues to look like it is improved regardless of the outcome. I'll take that as a good news story from this game. But For me, this is a quick one to really recap because there's not much to say other than penalty kill, and Emmitt Finnie continues to find the net.
Yeah, that's the bright side in this game, I would say, is Emmitt Finnie and Dylan Larkin continuing the point streaks. Emmitt Finnie getting another goal. That's his third for the year. JT Comfort opens up the game with his first goal of the year. Jonathan Berggren also playing a part in that, getting his first assist of the year as well. But yeah, touching on the power play and the PK, yeah, 1 for 5 on the PK. 20%, it is what it is. Eventually, you're going to let one in. The Red Wings had a really good power or penalty kill leading up to this game. I would also say, too, I mean, you're pretty even on shots, but the fact that you were playing so much in your own zone while on the PK, that translated to the Red Wings not being able to find the momentum, whether that was in the first period or pretty much throughout the game. The second period was by far their best period. And then they kind of just fell apart in the third as well. It was 2-2 leading up till then. And then the Red Wings just fell apart, like I mentioned. Not too many bright spots in this game. I'm curious to ask you, I think some fans probably think this, but would you put blame on John Gibson for this game?
Against Buffalo? Honestly, I don't think I would. Listen, there's probably one he wants back. There's usually always, the one goal that you as a goalie you probably want back. But I put it on the team, man. Like the odd man rushes, like take Jason Zucker's goal, for example. Like, first of all, that was disgusting. It was a beautiful play.
Yeah.
I believe it was Seider and Johansson that were on the ice as defenders, and they just got completely turned over, and it ended up in the back of the net. Johansson got lost. Seider's defending a 2-on-1. John Gibson's forced to go lateral. I've already talked about John Gibson and, in my opinion, his lateral woes. But as a team, you need to avoid him from having to do that so much. They were not able to do that. So do I put this one on Gibson? I don't. I put it on the team getting so discombobulated that they made Buffalo look like they were absolute all-stars, snapping the puck around. They were fast. They dictated the pace the whole time. We know that's not usually the case, at least this season. Detroit's been dictating that pace, but when you let a team snap it around on you like that to the point where you get lost, it's hard to put that on a goalie, man. It really is. Like for me, that's just an all-around failure of execution as a team leading up to the goal. So I do not put this one on Johnny Gibby. Well, what about you?
I agree with you, and not really trying to move forward in the post-game comments from Tom McClellan in last night's game against St. Louis, because that's who was in that, was John Gibson. Even in that game, Tom McClellan is putting most of the responsibility on the goals against on the team, not on the goalie. And I would agree with you. I think that's very much the case in this game. I mean, just looking at the stats on the players, ASP, you don't even have to look at the stats. You could have just watched the game and said ASP really didn't look like he had the greatest game out there. Same thing with Simon Edvinsson. And I think that just kind of carries over. Speaking on that, Simon Edvinsson in the game against the New York Islanders, he ended up getting benched towards the end of that game. You made that call out. We got some stats on that. Simon Edvinsson in the game against Buffalo played under 18 minutes. And then the following game against the New York Islanders, he only played 14 minutes, Carlo. And in both games, he was a -2, ASP a -3 in the game against the Islanders. The Red Wings lost 7-2 in that game.
Listen,
while we're on that topic, segue into it, talk about this New York Islanders game as much as you can.
Where do we start? Well, I guess we got to start on the obvious. I mean, Detroit lost 7-2. Their defense, I still struggle to find the words exactly that I'd like to use to talk about their defense in that game, but it was absolutely terrifying. I guess we'll go with that. They just were absolutely lost the entire game. And, you'd think that after a game against Buffalo where you had no control of the pace, that you would come out and be firing. Like, you really would think that. That wasn't the case. Like, again, another very soft first period where they allowed the Islanders to take what? Did it take 5 minutes for them to score 2 goals? Did they score 2 quick ones? I can't remember exactly. Maybe not. It might have been the beginning of the period and then the end of the period, actually, now that I think about it.
So
but
the first period, it was within the first 2 minutes of the game. Then they scored later on with
okay.
5 minutes left in the first period. But yeah, it seemed like they were all back to back. I would agree with you to that point.
When there's not many. Yeah.
The bright sides on this is that Dylan Larkin and Emmitt Finnie continue to increase their point totals. Dylan Larkin, a power play goal. Emmitt Finnie for his 4th assist. Alex DeBrincat still scoreless, but gets a 7th assist. Not trying to go far ahead. Alex DeBrincat did break that curse. We'll touch on that here moving forward. But Jonathan Berggren gets the last goal. It was a meaningless goal. There was actually no celebration, as normally you should. You shouldn't be celebrating when you're already down 7-1, making it 7-2. Comfort's name being out there again. And then Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, I feel for him. The team didn't even announce that he got his first NHL goal until, what was it, a day or two later. No happiness whatsoever. Was just a very down in the dumps kind of game, and no one was thrilled being able to leave that arena. They were actually very excited to leave that arena, I should say. Get the hell out of there as quickly as possible.
Yes, as quickly as you possibly could. Now let's talk about, I guess, the defense in itself and what ended up happening and transpiring as a result of that game. Edvinsson got benched, I think, for 14 minutes in that third period because he looked, and I think he even said it himself, like he's been the worst player on the ice defensively. Jacob Bernard-Docker as well did not have a good game. I don't think really any defenseman had a good game against the Islanders. Now, what I like is what our coaching staff did in pivot. They obviously made some big time pivots, big time adjustments in order to try to, stop the bleeding. It didn't really work. I mean, Detroit did score a couple goals, but nowhere near enough to obviously get the game back or celebrate or anything like that. But yeah, I really like what the coaching staff did in terms of accountability. That's something that is nice for us to see for once, is accountability. And, everyone's kind of in hockey media is like, oh my God, Todd McClellan's ripping these guys after game one. Oh my God, Todd McClellan's ripping these guys during the intermissions. Oh my God. But yeah, but that's what you need to do. Like, if you're not playing up to par, like these things need to get done. And we really didn't have a coach to do that. I don't think Larkin's ever been around a coach that's done that. And I think it shows sometimes in Larkin. There's a lot of people that are, oh, the team's soft. Well, Todd McClellan's really going to harden you up quickly. And I think that's the one thing. I put it out last night, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Todd McClellan is giving me so much energy because of how he reacts to things. I put out the tweet, I'd run through a semi-detached house for him because I would. At this point, when you're doing that, I'm ready to go. Let's call a spade here. So yeah, long-winded rant. I apologize. But again, this is a game where I struggle to find anything good to talk about. Penalty kill again. I mean, that's a good point. But although they did let in one, right? I think they had 3 penalties and the Islanders did score on one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they went 0 for 3. The Red Wings
I don't think so.
Score a power play goal.
No, they let in I'm pretty sure they let in a penalty. Wasn't it John Gabriel Pajot that scored on the power play?
It says 0 for 3 right here.
It does say 0 for 3, but I don't think it was 0 for 3. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. If it was, great. Even if they let in 1 on 3, still not bad. Better than going 3 for 3. But yeah, dude, there's not much good to talk about. And once again, I'll say what I said to start this segment against the Islanders. And I'll let you have your thoughts on it. But, even last night against St. Louis, you would think after getting absolutely shit kicked 7-2 that you're going to come out. That's enough. That's enough to come out firing on all cylinders. And it wasn't. Now I'm going to pause because I don't want to jump too far into the St. Louis game. What are your biggest takeaways on the Islanders game? From coaching decisions, from what you've seen play out and transpire through the game? Where are you at with this one?
I think just speaking on it as a whole, the Detroit Red Wings, and you could pick this apart in every single one of their losses and even in their wins as recent as the game last night against St. Louis, but trying not to jump too far ahead. But talking about it as a whole, the Detroit Red Wings, I would say, lead the NHL currently in allowing the opponents to get behind them per 60. I think that's the best way I could describe it. This game was a complete, utter failure. Utter failure from the get-go. And that is a testament to their first period play. Every single game. What was it? I think we said, okay, they made me eat my words against the Tampa Bay Lightning, or maybe it was the Florida Panthers. I can't remember which game it was. Then they just all of a sudden reverted back. It carried into Buffalo. Okay, you even held Buffalo scoreless in the first period. Cool. But still, you looked defeated. They made you look like you were an AHL team
Yeah.
going into this game. It's even worse. You
Yeah.
looked like that you were a beer league team against the New York Islanders. Matt Schaefer, I mean, that kid is just unreal. So credit to the New York Islanders for being able to just keep the puck away from us. They spent so much time in our zone and our defensive zone that we just were not able to get it out. There was multiple times where there were just a lot of unlucky bounces. Even some of the goals you looked at and you're like, it was just laughable at some points. Like, I can't believe that this is actually happening to them. Dare I say that this is going to be the worst game that we see the Detroit Red Wings lose? I hope that's the case. It's still very early. You made it very clear though. In the Buffalo game, a loss was inevitable. And I think a loss like this was inevitable too in records past or seasons past. We just never do really good on the island or just in New York in general.
Yeah. I mean, these are things that we need to get over. These are humps we have to. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to. And I have to ask you this, and this is even going into the St. Louis Blues game, but we're going to have to get blood pressure medication for Tom McLellan if he has to do this for the team every single game. It's ridiculous. It's nauseating. I feel for him. I guess that's my take from it. I think that this was probably the worst game that we'll see from the Detroit Red Wings, or at least I hope. And it gets figured out. But moving into the St. Louis Blues game, Carlo, it didn't. It did not.
No.
So I think that's a good part for us to move over into that game, and I'll let you take over from there and start off.
Yeah, so once again, another terrible start. These brutal starts are becoming way too frequent. And I really don't know where to draw the line in the sand on that one because, a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but some people are going to be like, the coach isn't getting these guys ready for the game. And I'll go back now to what I was saying before I wanted to jump into this. It's, you just lost 7-2. Like, do you really need a coach to remind you of that? Like, do you really need somebody to prepare you for a game after you lose 7-2 as a professional athlete? Because I might be offside on this. I am not a professional athlete, but I am a competitive individual. If I do something that is so costly, I am looking to rebound. You're as good as your mistakes, right? It's about learning from them, yada, yada, yada. We're not going to get all inspirational here. But once again, as a competitive human being, forget about the pro athlete piece. I mean, you layer that in too, but you just lost 7-2. What's the excuse for not starting on time at home? It was brutal. And again, what happens? You go down 2-0 in the first period.
You start getting booed going into
the boo birds are back. And you know what? Good. Accountability. I'm all about it lately. All about it. From the fan base to the coaching staff, the whole nine. This is what's required to remind these guys clearly. And it's kind of sad, Zach, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of sad that these guys need to be booed off the ice or they need to be reamed out by their coach. So far, it's been every 4 games, every 4 to 5 games. So it's just that's, I'll say this. I'm glad that we're seeing this complete roller coaster of an unreal team, a mediocre team, and then a brutal team in October. This is the good news out of all this. I don't want to go doom and gloom. This is the good news, is these guys have really played every single type of game type you can play, from the highs of the highs to the lows of the lows. Now it's time to really, okay, what are we clinging on to here? Because we've just done it all somehow. In 9 games, we've just done it all. So now you have something to attach yourself to and hopefully form that identity around what you're attaching to keep going. But I will say with this game, and I think I alluded to it online, Todd McLellan won this game for us, the fans, and for the Detroit Red Wings. This was a Todd McLellan win.
Yeah.
Y'all saw his timeout that he called after Jake Neighbors scored the 4th goal. Todd McLellan looked like Bane from Batman on the bench, mouth covered, and beat red. I'm talking Joel Quenneville level 100. And he said what he said. No idea what it was. There were some questions asked post-game about what was said, and they were all pretty tight-lipped on it. I don't know if they even want to share because it would probably embarrass themselves by sharing what he said. But Todd McLellan won that game at that moment because shortly after that timeout, Berggren scores on the power play, which was great to see Berggren do. To be honest with you, think Berggren, I think you said it, Berggren has had a pair of nice games. In the losses that we've had or the poor play that we've had, Berggren's actually looked pretty sound, I will say.
Yeah, in the 4 games that he's played in a row, what would that would be 4, or maybe that's 3 in a row, but in those 3 games, let's say it's 3, he's got 4 points.
Yeah.
He's total.
He's it's nice to see. It's nice. I think we're all fans of Yanni Bergers. Like, we want to see him do well. The Red Wings are better when he does well. That's the reality, right? So when, you see him, when the woes come out for Bergers, it hurts. And that's why he gets attacked online. But we're not going to go there.
Touch on JT Compher, because that's another player who actually has been playing a little hot lately as well. And that's someone that gets a lot of criticism online, not only from other Wings fans, but even from us. We criticize him pretty heavily. I still would to this day, but I'm very thankful and glad to see, call it a resurgence, if you will, if you want. That's why I'm doing it in air quotes for those that can't see me doing that. But he deserves some flowers too as well.
He absolutely does. Before I get to JT Compher, I just want to mention that Rasmussen was scratched this game and Hamonic was in. Another big statement that was made, and it might even kind of allude to something we talked about last week, and Todd McLellan pulling a couple Red Wing players aside and asking them, "Are you tired of this yet? Are we ready to go?" I think with Rask getting scratched, might allude, I don't know for sure, but it might allude to him being definitely in that mix of players that he had that conversation with. But to JT Compher, you're right. I mean, he was probably one of the most impactful players on the ice last night, which was great to see. I think the fan base and a lot of us get upset with JT Compher because of the amount of money he's making. That's really what it comes down to, and how much he produces. But you want to call it a revenge tour? Sure, I'll take it. He again, he was very impactful, and when JT Compher is playing better, the Detroit Red Wings do better. Like, there's a common theme here. You need to play better as an individual for the Detroit Red Wings to do better. It's not like a mind-blowing, like, no shit. Like, that's not a mind-blowing statement by any means, but it's definitely it's a simple truth. And I'm happy to see that he's figuring something out, but now it comes down to the one word that matters the most, and it's consistency.
Get the cameras out of my house, because you're definitely reading my mind with that one. That was the word I was thinking as well. And touching on JT Compher a little bit there, currently, Carlo, he is on pace to play in all 82 games with 18 goals, 27 assists for 45 points. That doesn't match or beat out his highest point totals with the Detroit Red Wings back in 23-24. He put up 48 points in 77 games. Even with the Colorado Avalanche before that, 82 games, 52 points. At the 3 seed, Carlo, 45 points? I'll take that all day. Yeah, revenge tour, JT Compher? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. We need that to do well, man. That's the reality. Like, we need these key players to do well in order for this team to do well and do what we want it to do and make the playoffs, man. Like, this is now a question that I have. And I'm sure you want to get into some other details on this game because there are many.
Yeah.
But, we've got these 9 games. Sample size is bigger, larger. Now that you've kind of digested these 9 games, you've seen the highs, the mids, the lows. We've seen a lot.
Yeah.
We've seen some. Where are you putting this team with these 9 games? Are you still thinking they're a wild card, flirting with wild card type of team? Do you think they're a playoff team, or do you think that we're going to see a team completely miss without it? I don't think we're going to miss with no chance of making it, but last week I was very confident that if these guys play the way they play and they win all that 5-game heater, they're a playoff team. Now you look at the, kind of the struggle bus that we've been on, and it's like, okay, maybe we are realistically still flirting with the wild card spot. I'm kind of stuck between those two things. I'm curious where your head's at, and I'm frankly curious where everybody's head's at this point with these 9 games. So drop it below. But Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, A loaded question because there's a lot that kind of goes into it when I think about it. When you ask me that direct question, currently as it stands right now in the Atlantic, the Detroit Red Wings are second with 12 points, just 2 points behind the Montreal Canadiens, who have one game in hand. We're very close to them. We're +1 in the goal against differential. There's only 3 teams in the Atlantic that are either even or positive in the goal differential right now, Carlo. The Atlantic is, I'm still trying to figure out if the Atlantic is so good that every team just can score and that their defense maybe isn't the greatest. And that's kind of how I feel about the Detroit Red Wings. But they kind of pick and choose when they want to play defense, it seems like. But that comes down to the forwards. It's not just the defense. I think if the Detroit Red Wings make an upgrade on the defensive side, don't ask me where, don't ask me who, don't ask me which side, because I think you could go either way. I don't think you're in a space where you're going out and trading for, I see some people saying like Rasmus Anderson or Mackenzie Weegar, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want those contracts.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
see.
want the length. It doesn't make sense with ASP now on the team and playing. What was it against the New York Islanders? He put up, I think he played the most out of all the defensive players. He played. No, I lied. He played 21 minutes right behind Moritz Seider at 24. But still, this kid's playing a lot of minutes. And I have a follow-up question for you about that regarding actually all the rookies as well. But even to your point, you brought up the 9 games. They all those rookies, they just lost a year off of their ELCs now because of that. It is all their 9th games.
Well,
But
do
to
they
answer your
have,
question,
isn't there an
go.
opportunity at this point to send them back down to not burn it? Or is it 9 games or is it 10 games? I thought they could play 9 games, then get sent down so they don't play a 10th, in which they don't burn that year. So that brings up a question of do you see any of these kids being sent down? Because if they are, it's going to happen probably today, right?
You're right. I think it is 9 plus. I think the max before that hits is 9. So they can play 9. And if they play one more, then I think they get
Then
sent
it
down. But let
burns.
us know down in the comments if we do have it wrong. But
Pretty
going
sure
back
that's
and
it.
answering your question, Carlo, do I think that they're flirting in a wild card position? Right now, yeah, I do. But with how tight it is, I mean, even looking at it from the perspective of St. Louis, they really don't have the greatest team. They're pretty much at the bottom in their division as well, over there in the Central. So I think an upgrade needs to be made somewhere, especially on the defensive end, if we actually wanted the sniffing the wild card portion to evolve into playoff lock. Because I think you're sniffing wild card if everything goes right. But at the same time, will this team be better with Patrick Kane? Patrick Kane has been missing for 3.5 games now, maybe 4 games. Lucas Raymond finally looks like, watching him last night, he was the one. I give credit to Lucas Raymond too. You know, he was the one after what Tom McClellan said to them after that timeout. Got the puck. You know what he did? Drove to the net, became a disturber, riled up the boys, and then they all got in that scrum. And it kind of kicked off from there as well. So I'm going to give credit to Lucas Raymond for being that kind of guy that gets the boys going, gets the blood flowing. And that's what you expect out of someone who wears an A on their jersey too. And I'm very thankful for that. Giving Lucas Raymond the A, him taking it upon himself to go in, get into the dirty area, trying to create something, taking whacks at goalies and the other players. There was also a shift in the third period. I can't remember if it was after the third goal we scored or when was it, but they were just going out there in the offensive zone, hitting the puck, ripping it. St. Louis Blues players are going down. All this, I mean, they're just trained bowling ball, wrecking ball going into the St. Louis Blues players. And I made a tweet and I was like, this is the kind of hockey that Tom McClellan expects out of his players every single shift. And if they can't do it, then to answer your question, Carlo, no. So it's just really tough. So if they can rebound from this, I do believe that they can continue it moving forward. But I wouldn't say that they're a lock for a wild card spot or even for a playoff spot, even with how they look in the standings. It's still so close in the Atlantic. I think it could go either way. We've seen it too many times in seasons past. It's getting tighter and tighter. At one point, Ottawa was all the way down there at the bottom. Now it's Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But that's the thing. The Atlantic division it's a gauntlet division. And I put out that tweet about, the Detroit Red Wings needing to adapt that racehorse mindset, right? And what I mean by that is you got to constantly be aware of who's, right behind you, but also right next to you at the same time. You're technically still a couple feet in front of them, but you can see them in your peripherals like a horse could. You need to figure this out, man. And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but these guys, I know they look at the standings. You can say you don't, but come on. Like, if you're truly a competitive person, you're looking at the standings, man. And it's something that I would be looking at all the time to fuel me, to inspire me, and to get me in check. But to go and put out a game like they have, even they're lucky with St. Louis that they have Todd McLellan as a coach. They can buy him a steak for that one. But yeah, it's inexcusable. It was wild, but I do think that if they can figure it out and cling on to the good piece of that game, I think Todd put it in his post game. I think we're closer to the second half of that game type of team than we are the first half of that game. And I agree with him. I do think that as well. He just nails his post games. He's so honest and he's so thorough. He's putting it on them. You got to figure this out. We have to figure this out, and you got to choose which identity you're going to go to. But that's the annoying part. It's like, how long does it take to search for an identity? Like, what are we looking for here? The Ark of the Covenant? Like, no. We're looking for consistent play. Like, come on, guys. That's the part that is frustrating as a person a fan to watch. But go ahead.
No, I agree with you to that point, and I think we said it once before. There's only so much, because we do see there's only so much that you can put on Tom McLellan to get these boys going, that eventually it's just going to become nauseating. And at some point, we have to stop pointing fingers and placing blame on the coaching. We already fired one. We're going to say that it's Tom McLellan's fault again, that these boys can't get going. Eventually, like he's doing, you got to point the fingers at some of these players that are on this team. We can't change coaches anymore. So there clearly is an issue within this team, and that separates a tenured head coach, one with experience in Tom McLellan, versus someone like Snoozy Lalone. And that kind of correlates with some of the players. And I think when Snoozy came into the club and then the system, is that they enjoyed him. They loved his presence. And I can see why. He babied the hell out of them.
A lot of coddling.
What Tom McLellan is doing, and that's the difference that separates Tom McLellan versus someone like Snoozy Lalone. And that's why I am very thankful for someone like Tom McLellan to be our head coach, because he just grills them, as he should.
Yeah.
Just like any boss would at your job. If you're underperforming,
absolutely,
maybe not get grilled, but you're going to get called out for sure. And we're going to try and figure out what can we do to correct this moving forward.
It's accountability, man. Doesn't have to come in the fashion of being yelled at. Like, that's, you know what I mean? We're level-headed adults here, but to your point, a call out. It's a call out for accountability. There's nothing wrong with that. And, maybe that's something that this team had so much leash in, was just being unaccountable, or just maybe, I don't want to say they're unaccountable, but maybe they just weren't held accountable the way they should have been. Correct. As professional athletes, playing this great game of hockey for a living. And, that's the nice part that's the refreshing part, and the nice part about Todd McLellan is he's zero tolerance for that. He's going to hold you accountable. One quick thing I noticed last night was they finally broke up Edvinsson and ASP. Let's get back to the game for a second here. They finally broke up ASP and Edvinsson. And what we saw, at least what I caught on to, was obviously Ed and Mo right up top. And then I saw Ben play with ASP. I saw Ben play with Hamonic. And then I saw Eljo and JBD. Now, if you actually go online and you look at the shift counter, makes a lot of sense, because it was Mo, Ed, Ben, and Sherratt that had top dog ice time. And then ASP, Hamonic, Albert Johansson, and Eljo were all within that 12, 13, 14-minute range. So I thought that was a very interesting coaching tactic. I don't know if that's just that was by design, or if that's the way it fell, but it was very much like, here's our guys that we can depend on, and then here's the group that we need to really shelter. Thought that was very interesting, and it obviously worked for them towards the second half of that game, especially into the third. That's when I saw a lot of that mumbo jumbo of the lineups. The other thing I noticed, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but did JVR get banged up, or did he get benched for the last 15 minutes of the game?
That's a good question. And I don't know, because I could have sworn I remembered hearing his name, because the Red Wings got a few power plays towards the end in the third. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have sworn that I heard his name a couple times, because they mentioned him being so good at the net front, that's how he made his career, was being
Yeah,
so
I
good on
remember
the
that.
power play.
I remember that too.
Only 10 minutes for JVR, but going and talking about the defense, and we talked about how ASP was getting all those minutes too, and I kind of want to talk about the rookies for a little bit, not just the defense, but picking apart the defense. ASP just under 14 minutes. He got an assist in this game, which was awesome. He ended up getting a ±0. The defense, the only one who got a minus was actually JBD, which I would say Albert Johansson and JBD, while they looked like that they were the best defensive pairing on this team for the first couple of games, now they look like that they have been the most struggling pair on this team outside of the Simon Edmondson and the ASP tandem. So I don't know what's going on with Albert Johansson, but I'm going back to what I said. The Detroit Red Wings defense, I would say in general, leads the NHL in allowing the opposition to get behind them per 60. Carlo, they're in the losses, and even in this game in St. Louis, there were a couple times where players weren't able to see who's coming down on the wing in their peripheral, who's behind them. A lot of puck watching. There were even a couple points in last night's game where there were 4 Detroit Red Wings players just all puck watching the guy on the St. Louis team who had the puck, and they're all standing in front of John Gibson, just all puck watching in the corner. And I'm like, this is going to lead to a goal. This is why it just gave me flashbacks of the team last year. And I was like, please stop reverting back to bad habits of puck watching and standing in front of your goalie.
That was the second goal, right? Jake Neighbors?
Probably. I can't even
I think it was, dude, because I was losing my mind. I'm like, what's happening? I literally watched everybody, and all I could see were their eyeballs watching. I'm like, what is happening right now? Holy cow, that was bad.
It was so brutal. I mean, credit to them for being able to, I mean, like I mentioned, I mean, they came back, the whole team came back and everything. But talking about the rookies, maybe minus Emmitt Finnie, because he's been such a dog out there, and it's really not to nitpick on them, but do you believe, because even someone like Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, he really didn't have the greatest game, and I really feel for him. I think if anyone does get sent down, it would probably be him. He only played 6 minutes, 6.5.
Well, so remember how it said it looked like JVR got benched the last 15 minutes of the game. So did Brandsegg-Nygard.
Yeah, and you were already playing 11 at that point.
Everybody else had shifts, dude. Everybody else had shifts. If you guys want to take a look at this for yourselves, just go to the shift tracker on whatever Stat Trick or NHL.com has it as well. JVR and MBN they did not see the ice for the last 15 minutes of the game. So interesting.
It's very interesting, but going and talking about it too, I mean, you have
Accountability.
Michael Rasmussen and Elmer Soderblom both sitting. 2 very big bodies. They got the reach. They're exactly not. Maybe you got more people excited for Elmer Soderblom, who really hasn't looked that good at all. I would say both him and Michael Rasmussen are.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they are very similar players who play like they're my size. They're 5'8.5" with no hitting. Alex DeBrincat hits more than both of these guys at this point.
He's a pit bull, man.
I really don't know the stats behind it, but for shoots and giggles, so to say, it does seem like that Alex DeBrincat is playing with more heart than Michael Rasmussen and Elmer Soderblom, which is so funny because Michael Rasmussen, like we mentioned, 3 years removed, he was a favorite for everyone, and he was the reason why we potentially didn't make the playoffs 3 years ago. It's just so funny, the difference on Michael Rasmussen. Elmer Soderblom was a huge bright spot for us last season, but if we were to send down Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, are you bringing up Nate Danielson or Carter Mazur? Or are you going to insert Elmer Soderblom or Michael Rasmussen? At that point, just answer my own question, Carlo. You can answer and go into your rant, but at that point, I'm not going to put down Michael Brandsegg-Nygard. I just don't think that there's a point to it currently as we sit. I think you just keep him up because he brings the physicality, and we need that on this team.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to send him down for that reason. He's a pit bull. He finishes his checks. He's hard on the puck. He plays with a lot of heart. Is he scoring? No. I mean, we can talk about why. We have talked about why. I don't really think he's playing with the most skilled group, and he's kind of playing this shutdown checking role. You know, I think MBN's goals on this team as right now are mainly going to come from the power play. So, but with that said, I don't think any of these kids are being sent down, man. They're reliable, they're dependable, and let's ask. And I know there's some people that think, okay, maybe MBN should be sent down to get a little more reps in the AHL. So, who So humor me this, Zach. MBN does get sent down. Let's just pretend here. And then who's in taking his spot in the lineup? Is it Rasmussen or Soda?
No. My first answer would be Nate Danielson. I mean, we saw it last night where they went 11-7. They didn't have a fourth center. We have heard rumors based on the teams coming and watching Gus, going to the AHL teams. I think it was Elliot Friedman, maybe it was someone else, mentioning how Detroit might be looking for center help. Well, you got Nate Danielson in there. I really don't think that there is an issue with putting Nate Danielson at the 4C, which is so funny too, because at that point you have 4 centers already. You have Larkin, you have Casper, you have Kopp, and you have Comfort. So why can't we put one of Comfort or Kopp at the 4C? But my first choice would be Nate Danielson. He looked hella good in his return back.
Yeah. No, he did. He did. And where I'm going with this is, like, Nate Danielson, is he a checker as much as MBN is? And then at what point do you look at, I want somebody who's going to finish the play, might turn over the puck a few times, but he's going to hit hard, he's going to play, where Danielson, like, I don't know if he's going to hit as hard as MBN. But here's the thing, guys. Do you want a rookie in our lineup as exciting as MBN or even Nate Danielson, playing, producing, making some mistakes? Or would you rather continue to watch Rasmussen and Soderblom be in these lineup spots and make mistakes?
Right.
Because if it's me, and this is just, I'm speaking for myself, but I want the rookies. I would rather them make the mistakes in the NHL, because you're going to feel it a lot harder. When you got 20,000 people around you, the fan base in that unreal arena, you don't want to let them down, right? So, but if you make a mistake, which you're going to learn from it. And here's my point. Rasmussen, Soderblom, I don't think there's much learning there anymore. They're kind of set in their ways. These are maybe Soda's still young. I shouldn't have said that, but for sure Rasmussen, even Comfort, Kopp, like, they are who they are. The guys that have been around and are established. They're going to continue to make mistakes, and they're not going to learn. MBN is going to make mistakes. He's going to learn from them, and he's going to get better. He is a sponge right now. He is being molded right now. And I think he's played with enough heart to warrant a lockdown spot on this team. So I really hope, and I don't believe, that we're going to see any of these rookies get sent down. And now to the defensive side, we know Finnie's a lock. That kid is just, the way he finds ice so quietly, dude, is just, holy cow. Like, 7th round pick. But ASP
in the NHL in rookie points.
Yeah, like, this guy's not going nowhere. ASP, I really don't think is going anywhere either. MBN is the one that you look at because there's been some mistakes and he hasn't scored yet. He's got a point. He hasn't scored yet, though. But turning it to ASP for a moment, now that they've kind of jumbled up the D, now they're playing 7D. I don't know if we're going to see that be a common theme. And they're really, really managing the shift work of each player. And I'm sure they're also super managing the offensive zone starts, the neutral zone starts, and the defensive zone starts. I really don't think ASP's a worry to go down either. I don't think he's going anywhere. No. I think if they can get the back end managed like they managed it very well last night, again, touting the coach's dub, that's part of it. Managing the way they deployed the D last night. Yeah, I have no concerns about ASP. I think he's a lock as well. And I don't know if he's going to be playing with Ed again. I think Ed and Mo need to be the number one pair. But I don't mind the idea of a Ben Sherratt with ASP or a Ben Sherratt with Hamonic. I didn't mind that if they go 7D. And then you have obviously your Aljo and JBD, third or fourth line, whatever you want to call it, with 7D.
Well, and that's kind of where I say too, I wouldn't mind if the Red Wings and Steve Yzerman went out and made an upgrade on the defensive end, where I really don't know yet. I'll let you guys figure it out down in the comments. We'd love to engage with you guys on that. Me personally, maybe it starts with Ben Sherratt. If you could upgrade him, that would be fantastic. But yeah, we're going to get a lot of different looks throughout this season. Obviously, Simon Evanson and Moritz Seider, that's a fantastic combo. Then you look at Ben Sherratt and ASP. Okay, I can see how that works. Ben Sherratt, you're just going to have to be that guy. And Ben Sherratt has been doing that. He did that yesterday too, where he's coming in, he's helping out guys, especially if they're getting in the little scuffles after the whistle. But to your point, ASP, he's 4th on the team in block shots. He's actually tied for the 3rd with Moritz Seider at 14. Simon Edmondson, believe it or not, leads the team with 25.
Block
at
shots. Wow.
17. It's a huge difference there. And then even going back to Michael Brandsegg-Nygard, you can't send down this kid when he's leading the team in hits. He's got 28.
There you
Him and
go.
Marco Kasper. Then Emmitt Finnie with 20, and it really drops from there. But going back over the ASP, I got a hot question for you. And please answer it down in the comments as well. Do you currently believe ASP's overall defense touts over Albert Johansson's defense?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's even fair to answer it, though, because if we're going to measure it against Aljo, well, how many games in the NHL does Aljo have?
Well, and that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here is that if you say that ASP's defense is the same level or better, you can't send him down. There's a reason why he is your second pair right-handed shooting defenseman on this team. And it's not Hall, it's not Hamnick. There's just a bigger learning curve there for ASP than there is for Aljo because of what you just mentioned, how many more games Aljo has over ASP.
Yeah, you can't make an irrational decision based off of 9 games in the sense of who's a better defensive defenseman. Well, it's been 9 games. So it's like the only person who's really in a rock and a hard place right now is Stevie Y, because he's got to decide if these guys are it. Dude, based off all his interviews with TNT broadcast and other, other even player interviews, coaches interviews, Tom McClellan post-game, pre-game, all that stuff, it doesn't seem like these kids are going anywhere. Like they are part of this plan for this year, big time. If these guys were not playing well and they were the lone reason to our losses, different story. Have they turned the puck over? Yes. Have they made some bad mistakes? Yes, but not many. And not to the tune of blowing or losing a game. When we lost our games, that was a fundamental team collapse. That's not on the rookies. So to my point, our losses, the kids still looked good in these losses. They looked like they were making forward progress and learning and getting better and better and better, as you would expect a rookie to do in that developmental stage. Thus, it'd be silly and irrational to make the decision to send them down. And it would especially be irrational and silly to try to compare ASP's defensive game to Albert Johansson. They're two completely different players, first of all. Size, height, weight, style of play. Completely polar opposite type of players. And Aljo actually has a sample size of an NHL season. ASP has 9 games. ASP sticks around for the whole season, as well as the other rookies, as you can tell. I would like that to happen. And then we ask that question. But what are the expectations for ASP? He's not a shutdown defenseman. He never will be. He can't be. It's a physical impossibility. He is an offensive-minded defenseman. You could tell by the way he plays, snaps around the puck, skates, his mobility. He's an offensive zone defenseman. Albert Johansson, though we've seen him make some really nasty plays and score some nasty goals in close.
Yeah.
I expect to see ASP do that 10 more times than Aljo because of how drastically different they are as players. This is just my hot take or whatever, cold take, based off the 9 games that I've watched this season and not even tapping back into last season because we're in this season. So I don't even know if that answers your question, but you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah. And I guess I would agree with you. I think it's a little unfair to kind of give an answer to that question, but I think it's pretty clear that they're probably on par considering we've seen ASP play more 15 plus minute games than Albert Johansson has. Granted, it's the pairing, but I don't think just because Aljo starts on the third pair, that just automatically means he's going to get less time than ASP. It obviously comes down to matchup situations and then obviously how you're playing in that game.
Matchup for sure. A line matching, we know Todd loves doing that, especially at home when he can. That's a big one. Power play. That's going to inflate ASP. And then sheltering and managing the usage of these guys. That's also going to create differences, right? Like Albert Johansson and JBD, they have looked good, but they have looked good in a very limited amount of minutes.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's kind of why I asked too, do you believe ASP maybe right now and maybe we won't be able to answer this until closer to the end of the season, but
Yeah.
asking the question again, do we believe that ASP brings a better defensive game than what Aljo currently has, or if they're on par, maybe better? But the reason why I asked that is because of, look, ASP played 4 total games in the AHL. There's a reason why he's on this team. He clearly can't learn anything more from there than what he could learn from here. And then you're looking at the sample size of these 9 games that we've gotten so far in ASP. Yeah, he's playing in every situation. So while we understand, and anyone could say that ASP is more offensively gifted, that's what we drafted him for, was to be that power play quarterback. But I think his defensive game may have been underrated a little bit because they are putting him in those all situations. All situations. We did see that with Aljo last season, not so much this season. So that is kind of the reason why I asked that question to you guys. Let us know down in the comments what you think about that.
I was going to top up with was AASP, is he a better defensive choice? What was the question? Is ASP a better defenseman than, or play better defense?
Do we think ASP currently brings more on the defensive end than what Aljo does, or at least on the same scale, maybe a little bit better? Where would you sit on that? I wouldn't say it's less.
Well, it's different. It's different because ASP's deployment and usage is more offensive. I think it can be more, but more offensively inclined. Isn't good offense a form of good defense?
Well, and that's why I said too, they have him on the PK when it
Yeah,
comes
they
to shot, and then when it comes to shot blocking, we brought up that stat as well. He's blocking shots. He's not bad on defense.
Well, he's still a defenseman. You gotta do what a defenseman
Correct.
does for sure. But I think you're gonna see once they figure out this decor in terms of whatever their changes they're gonna make. I think you're gonna see some different deployments and some different usages. Because again, like you have after last night, there was a crazy tinkering of the pairings. So I think once they kind of figure out what that's going to look like, and they kind of lock something down for hopefully longer than 6 games, I think we're going to see the usage and deployment look a little bit different. And who knows, that could be a great thing for ASP to unlock an offensive threshold for himself. Maybe Aljo too. Who knows? We don't know. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I still have a hard time answering that question. Like I think Elber Johansson, if I were to answer it like black and white, I think Elber Johansson's a better shutdown defenseman than ASP.
Currently, yeah, I think I would agree with you on that for sure. It's just very interesting to see the, granted, small sample size. Maybe we ask the question again, maybe at game 20, maybe towards the end of the season, but it's just very interesting the deployment that he's getting, all situations, and I don't expect him to get a lot of points. He's currently got, I think it's 2 points in 9 games. Very good. He's only a -7. Only a -7. Geez, that actually leads the team currently in the plus minus for the worst.
Yeah, but listen, they're changing that because Edvinsson Edvinsson really kind of brought ASP down, especially in that Islanders game. In terms of if you're looking at plus minus, don't look at ASP's -7 and be like, holy smokes, ASP -7. There are factors and layers to why he's a -7. And a lot of that has to do with big boy Simon Edvinsson having an absolute horrific game. But back to my point, we're going to see a different decor. We're going to see some tweaks made. I expect to see some way tighter defensive play. I mean, look at the third period last night against St. Louis. Detroit started dictating the game. Breakout passes, flying through the neutral zone, getting in the zone, cycling. Like they clicked and they got it together once they made these tweaks. So let's see what happens in practice. Let's see what they roll out next game, and let's see what the results are for that as well.
We never got to it, but just reading off all the goal scorers in the St. Louis Blues game, Jonathan Berggren power play goal. ASP got that assist to make it his second point. They took away, I can't believe they did that. They took away the assist on the Emmitt Finnie goal for Dylan Larkin.
Why?
So technically his point streak ends.
Well, not for me. That was an assist, so his point streak continues for me. in my
Not for me
world.
either. Then you have JT Compher following up with that. Hamonic gets his first point, I believe, as a Detroit Red Wing. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then Alex DeBrincat finally breaks the voodoo curse of him and gets a goal as well for his first of the year. And then you have Simon Edvinsson closing it out.
Storybook
for the
ending.
Final 2 goals.
With ADB tying the game, storybook, considering he could have scored probably 3 last night.
2
And then
crossbars, and
Simon
then
Edvinsson.
everyone in the media just kept on bringing up his name and saying how unlucky is this guy. And the one analytics side that they have for FanDuel now, I can't remember his name. Pardon me. I'll get it eventually one of these days. But he's
Logan
like,
something.
it's just pure evil and torture now what they're doing to Alex DeBrincat. The hockey gods got to give him.
Dude,
I almost was ready to put down a bet Alex DeBrincat will score a hat trick this game midway through the game.
Dude, it was just so pent up, man. And like, I think the one stat I saw was he had so far this season, 15 high danger opportunities and 0 goals. I'm like, jeez, that's nuts, man. It was great to see him score. Monkey off his back. Hopefully that unleashes the Alex DeBrincat, the 39 goal scoring Alex DeBrincat. And hopefully that was his first of 40 for this season. We hope. But that was a storybook move, move, whatever. And then Simon Edvinsson to cap it off with 2. Again, storybook stuff. Like, that was a storybook ending. From Simon Edvinsson being the worst player on the ice for 2 games to score 2 at the end to ice it, storybook.
Kind of reminded me of those 2 games. What season was it? The 23-24 season? The final 2 games against the Montreal Canadiens where we just come back. It reminded me a lot of that. So I guess that was the most recent, not 6 unanswered goals since we asked that question at the start, but that's probably the most recent 2 years, a year and a half later, almost 2 years. That's pretty crazy, Carlo, to think about it.
Yeah, no, it was. And I remember those games too. I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing and how my throat felt after I was screaming. Oh yeah, it was, man, that was crazy. And it's good to see that we have a little bit of fight back and some pride because we needed to show some pride. And we did that yesterday. They did that yesterday. And I can't say it enough. It came at the blood pressure of Todd McClellan. I'm so happy that the Todd father's our coach, man. Truly.
Yeah, no kidding. So, looking at it on ESPN's game log, yes, they did not credit Dylan Larkin with an assist. So, his point streak...
That's a loser move. What a loser move.
Yeah, they even said it after the goal too, but it's like, the way it happened, Dylan Larkin just like backhands it. It goes off the St. Louis Blues player's stick and then just kind of goes in front of the net. I get it, but I think it's weak sauce as well. It's not Sauce Gardner. It's totally weak sauce. But talking about the points leaders for the Detroit Red Wings, currently as it stands, Dylan Larkin does lead the team with 13 points, 6 goals, 7 assists. Emmitt Finnie tied for second with Alex DeBrincat at 8 points. He's got 4 goals, 4 assists. Alex DeBrincat 8, Lucas Raymond 6, Patrick Kane 5, JT Compher 5, Mason Appleton 4. The list goes on and on. Players that still have not scored a point for the Detroit Red Wings, Carlo. Without looking, do you know who it is?
Haven't scored a goal or scored a point?
Point. Sorry, if I said goal, I meant point.
Rasmussen?
It's Elmer Soderblom. Even both the goalies have a point before Elmer Soderblom does. But granted, he's only played in 4 games. Travis Hamonic has a point in only 2 games.
Yeah, they gotta figure something out with Soda. They
need
to figure.
The thing too. I think that they have so many of these forwards that are the same. I think everyone can say that. Maybe not so much the same, but like you look at it from a Ras and Soderblom perspective, very much similar players. Size, weight, the reach, their kind of play, lackadaisical play. I would say maybe not lackadaisical is the correct.
Like,
word,
are you talking Soda and Ras?
Soda and Ras, correct?
Yeah, I agree, and that's why you're seeing one of them kind of flip out and ride the pine.
And
they're the same player.
And Berggren, but I think we've kind of differentiated that, right? I think Berggren now is foreseeable a lock for this team. I think JVR is too, and I think that's pretty clear at this point. Maybe we see JVR sit here and there, but would you?
Well, it's funny that Berggren. It's funny that Berggren performs well when he's not playing with one of Soderblom or Rasmussen,
isn't it? That is. I really didn't think about that.
That's interesting. But when you have a guy like JVR, who's, he's a top tier player, maybe not so much anymore, but you can't really take that away from the guy. He was a top tier player. He's got the skill. He's got the brains. Now Berggren's playing with him, and Berggren's producing. Don't you remember at the end of last season when Berggren got shot up to the top line and started producing? I mean, it's process of elimination at this point, and to me, Rasmussen's got to be on his way out. Soderblom's got to be on his way out. You nailed it. They are very, very similar players in exactly what you said. Size, reach, style of play, a.k.a. lackadaisical. There's no room for that, man. There's no room for floaters. Each guy needs to know that the guy next to them is going to do it for them or going to set them up so they can do it. I don't feel like Rasmussen really, like if you're Jonathan Berggren, are you like excited to go play on a line with Michael Rasmussen? Because you're like, oh, this guy's going to set me up all day. JVR? It's JVR, man. Like you're probably going to be pretty jacked about it. Yeah, okay, he's a little bit older, sure. He's still JVR. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just a quick thought that came to me. I don't know. I could be way offside on this one, but yeah, Rasmussen, Soderblom, what have you guys done in the NHL? With all due respect, you got scratched. You got benched.
And you can easily say that both have had plenty of opportunities to show their worth to this team.
Oh, dude, wait. They've had
just this season, previous as well.
Why do you think they're getting benched and called out now? They've had their time. You know what I mean? Like it's time to start moving here. And they're not doing that.
And that goes over to the poll that we actually posted after the loss against the New York Islanders. After last night's loss 7-2, some would say it's time to bring in more fountain of youth. I would agree with this post. If you were Steve Yzerman, Carlo, who would you move to make room for Mazur and or Danielson? The options were Berggren, Compher, Rasmussen, and Elmer Soderblom. 79 votes. Wasn't even close. 64% of the voters said Michael Rasmussen. Second closest was Jonathan Berggren. And I think if we redid this poll, most of the people would select Raz and Soda. I don't think it would change that much. But your thoughts on the 64% selecting Rasmussen to...
Well, for me, I'd be selecting Soderblom because Rasmussen plays the penalty kill and can actually be effective on the penalty kill. He's shown he can be effective on the penalty kill. We just dogged on the guy. We got to give him at least something. He's shown he can be effective on the PK, though albeit not consistently. But for that reason, I would rather keep him and send Soda down to make room for whether it be a Danielson or a Mazur or both.
So that's also the other thing is that it's important to note the AHL veteran rule limits a team to dressing a maximum of 6 skaters. So Grand Rapids taking another vet via waivers might not make sense for them. Granted, they are undefeated. I like to think that maybe the players like Gus, Hall, whoever else they insert in the lineup definitely is helping them. I think that's actually fantastic. I think that's good even for the young players that we still have on that team to learn from some of these guys.
They can technically take as many vets as they want. They can only play 6 of them though, right?
Correct. But that kind of comes to the point where, I don't think Soda makes it through waivers. I don't actually believe that Rasmussen would make it through waivers either. And I think that ultimately takes away from a lot of the younger guys that are on the AHL team. And just kind of makes things a little different. It definitely doesn't help out the coaching either that you got to swap in and out guys. It's what we saw with Tom McClellan, what he was doing these previous 9 games where you would see that one rotational player. So with that, I could see Soda being traded before being sent down. And I say that because I think Steve Yzerman made a mistake on not capitalizing on when Rasmussen was at his highest. I actually do believe that we have seen the ceiling on Michael Rasmussen. I don't think that we're going to get the strongest return out of him.
Well, I think he's already peaked. I think he's on his way down from that peak.
Yeah. We already saw his ceiling. We know what it is. I don't believe it can get any higher than what it was. Sub 30-point guy, if he's even reached 30 points in a season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not looking at the list right now. Very unprofessional of me. But I think for Soda's case, a team would probably see Soda as like a Lucas Reichel. Lucas Reichel was just traded. The Chicago Blackhawks got a 4th for him. I'd take a 4th for someone like Elmer Soderblom at this point. Personally, to me. Just to be able to make room, give him a shot, and take it from there.
Yeah. Like I don't think we're missing anything between. I think we'd be missing more with Rasmussen, believe it or not, because of his PK abilities. I'm not sure exactly what we'd be missing with Soderblom because he hasn't really he hasn't really found his niche.
No.
Therefore, if you don't have it, what are we missing? Right?
Well,
so you're bang on.
Yeah, and that was the thing that people were saying last season, is that with Austin Watson being on the team, he really helped Elmer Soderblom get out of his comfort zone and be more physical.
Then go put Elmer on a line with Austin Watson and G.
And now where did it go? Where has it gone? So Elmer Soderblom needs to figure it out. There's only so much that a coaching staff can do. Same thing with Michael Rasmussen, and not really just to pick on those two. I would say to even say, going back to how we have too many players that are very, very similar to each other, Kopp and Comfer, very similar players.
Yeah.
Maybe you can find a few things that are different about them, but yeah, that's how it is right now for the Detroit Red Wings, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Steve Yzerman handles Kopp and Comfer the rest of this season, even going into the offseason next year, because I still firmly believe one of them has to go. If you want to bring in players like Nate Danielson, Amadeus Lombardi, Carter Mazer, if not, you're going to have to eventually trade them. But moving forward, Carlo, I think that's enough talk and slander of those players. What do you think is the current season, or what do you think is the current ceiling for Emmitt Finnie this season? We put out that poll as well. 30 plus points, 40 points, 50 points, 60 points, 136 votes. 35% said 40 points plus. So under 50. Your thoughts on that? Would you agree?
I think I got him between 45 and 50.
He's at 8 right now and 9. Do you know what that means that he's on pace for?
Bet you're going to tell me.
I will tell you. In 82 games, he's on pace for 36 goals, 36 assists for 72 points. Could you imagine if he actually did pull that off?
That would be incredible, and we would be for sure a playoff team. That's not going to get bounced in the first round. Can't really speak of anything past that, but anyway.
I will put this on record, and the viewers and watchers, listeners at home, you guys can hold me accountable. If Emmitt Finnie, and I'm pounding the table, you guys can see my camera shake a little bit. If Emmitt Finnie gets 60 plus points this season, I will get his jersey. Hold me accountable. That's on record. If this kid in his rookie season gets 60 points, when was the last time we saw a rookie get 60 plus points for the Detroit Red Wings?
That's a question for the commenters.
Larkin. Let me know down.
We'd have to go deep. We'd have to go deep. Throw it in the comments after you Google it, folks.
Because I'm very curious to know.
Are you Googling it?
No, not currently. I'll leave it as a surprise. I'll let the fans at home let me know what it is. I'll probably look it up after recording.
Look it up after. I'm curious too.
We'll look it up afterwards.
Look it up on my walk.
Carlo, on top of that as well, I mean, Dylan Larkin, one hell of a season. I think this is where we can wrap it up with him because I do want to give him his flowers. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I'm going to say I told you so. Dylan Larkin, I knew it once the announcement of his kid. Mind you, being a girl dad at that, Carlo can attest to it.
Yeah.
You just get this odd freaking strength from not only being a dad, but being a girl dad.
You change on the molecular level.
5 goals and 64 assists for 119 points, Carlo. Absolutely mind-blowing if he continues this pace.
It is. Listen, I don't know how sustainable any of these projections are. It's fun right now, but Dylan Larkin is playing with a chip on his shoulder, and we love to see it. The only thing I wish Dylan Larkin would stop doing is beacon at the refs anytime he thinks he deserves.
He's doing it a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the one thing I just wish he would stop doing. You know, I look at number 71 with a C on his sweater, and real quick, and then we can wrap things up. You ever see Lidstrom do that? You ever see Zetterberg do that? You ever see Yzerman do that? No. The answer is no. Larkin beaks way too much. And honestly, dude, half the time it's a non-call. Last night he was beaking because he thought he got slashed. It was after he released the puck. I'm like, what are we doing here, brother?
Yeah.
That's the one thing, man. But other than that, he's playing well. But I still think he can take another step. I think there's another level, and I think he'll hit his stride. And I'm not trying to be egregious. I'm not trying to be greedy, but I really think there's another level that Larkin can take. And I think before we wrap it, my hot take is we see Larkin take that next step, maybe the last week of February and all 4 weeks in March, baby. Let's go Red Wings. I'm going to get scolded for that one.
So it has not been announced yet. So before we wrap this up, I'm just going to leave this for the folks at home because it has not been announced yet. Hopefully we get word today, but Patrick Kane has been out the last 3.5 games. We did slightly touch on that. If he goes on IR, what does that mean for this team? Who steps up? If we continue going the path that we are, where it's like a roller coaster, is Kane really the difference maker that this team needs?
Power play, yes.
I was going to say, we're seeing it on the power play. Obviously, it wouldn't matter on the PK. 5-on-5, maybe slightly, Carlo. I know that he doesn't play defense most of the time, but he still gets into the defensive zone when he needs to, back checks and all that. But
he slows the game down.
Yeah, answer the question. You know where I'm going. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
He slows the game down, regardless if it's a power play or if it's 5-on-5, and you're seeing them struggle to do that without him. And that could be a key reason why they've had these crazy swing type of games, is because of the lack of a Patrick Kane. Todd says it. We all know it. The guy is a brainiac when it comes to hockey, man. You talk about between the ears, that guy's number 1A when it comes to that stuff. But to watch him play, sometimes it can be frustrating, man, because he's a little cute with the passes. We know how Patrick Kane plays, and sometimes it gets turned over. But I feel like they had a really good thing going with that line because they had the right defenseman out, and they had Casper out there who was playing a few games where, a few games were meh, but a couple of the games were really, really good when Patrick Kane was in the lineup, and he was covering a lot, and so were the defensemen. So I think they really miss Patrick Kane. No idea what's going on with him. There's a few rumors out there that, it's going to be an LTIR issue and this and that. We're not going to get into any of that stuff until there's any announcements official, but we miss him desperately just for the way he can dictate pace of the game, get fast, get slow, all that stuff. But Ken Daniels did mention yesterday on the broadcast that he thinks Patrick Kane's going to be ready to go by the end of the road trip. So that could come against the San Jose Sharks. That could come against Vegas. That'll be their upcoming road trip. And they did mention that maybe he's back towards the end of that trip. So look out for the update when they start traveling and when they start taking pictures of getting on the plane. Look out and see if Patty Kane's joining them on that trip, because that'll be a really, really good sign.
Yeah, so let's actually touch on that real quick, and then we can wrap up this episode. Carlo, thanks for joining us once again on this brand new episode. As Carlo mentioned, on Tuesday, the Detroit Red Wings will be playing in St. Louis. That is an 18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start. Then going over on Thursday to play in California, in Los Angeles, against the LA Kings. 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time.
I guess I'm not watching any of these games.
Then the next day, on Friday, October 31st, happy Halloween, the Detroit Red Wings take on the mighty Anaheim Ducks at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, it's going to be, Carlo, the road trips, especially when we go very, very out west, it's going to be tough for Detroit Red Wings. And even talking about it further, November 2nd against the Sharks in San Jose, then you got to play in Vegas against the Golden Knights, and then finally on November 7th. So 2 weeks, it seems like. Yeah, math is mathing in my head correctly. 2 weeks. They finally get to come back home playing against the New York Rangers on Friday, November 7th. This is going to be, I think by the time we record our next episode, we will have a better idea of what this team is at home and also away. Right now, at away, it's very small sample size, but I think once we get done with this road trip, or maybe even coming into next weekend, we will have a better understanding of what this team is going to be down the stretch throughout this 82-game season.
Yeah, and November is a huge month for this team to continue their stride, granted that they choose to be the team we want them to be, because they have, I believe, 14 games in November. 9 of them are at home. 5 of them are on the road. So November's a big month for this squad. Let's just hope they can latch on to the right team, the latter half of last night's team, and have a really successful month in November. But Zach, this is a great spot to wrap it. Folks, if there's anything that we have missed or anything that you want to elaborate with us on, you know what to do. Throw it down in the comments. And until next time, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Later, guys. Appreciate it.
Goodbye. I love you. See you guys later on the
Great
next
guy.
one.
Great guy. Unbelievable.
Perfect guy. You're a great guy too, Carlo. Thanks,
Thanks, man.